And this is controversial and a little bit mean, I feel like.
And say it with like such authority, like this is fact and I'm an authority on this topic, it becomes problematic because you're actually not.
We need a shame-based society, you guys. Don't feel enough shame. No, I'm kidding. But we do actually need shame, because if we didn't have shame, like, people would still shit in the street. And I know that's like a dramatic example.
When really you're just like kind of making shit up and you're saying it confidently. Welcome back to another episode of Sessions for the Soul.
Yes, welcome back. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. Me too. How are you doing?
I'm good, you know? It's been a good, well, it's actually early in the week, which I love because we've been kind of like in the later end of the week lately.
We've been super last minute.
We've been filming on Thursday and putting these out to you guys on Friday, which it worked and it was working, but this gives us a little more flexibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good. I feel like today's the first like gray day we've had in a while. And so that I actually am okay with it because we've had such good weather. And so my mood and like my spirit feels up, and there's some exciting things on the horizon. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I'm doing good overall.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, the weather has been so nice lately. And I feel like weather sometimes can feel like such small talk, but like truly it's been so good lately. And I shared like yesterday, I went for a little walk on the beach and just like collected little seashells or clam shells, whatever.
Love that.
It was like so fun to just like soak in some sunshine in January.
I know.
For us. Like that's
a treat.
special.
And that's like why around here I feel like the weather isn't small talk this time of year, because it's like a big deal, you guys.
It's like, how's your mental health? That's what it is. Yeah.
No, and like how much sun we've had, people are like one day it was genuinely warm out.
No, I know.
And I was like, excuse me, do I need to delayer? Like, it was a treat, you know?
No, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we happened to be at the beach that day too with some family, and I like wore my big winter coat because I was like, it's been cold, it's sunny, it's clear, and it's, you know, probably low 40s or something, which is pretty cold.
Pretty cold.
And it was in fact hot.
It was like 68 degrees. I was like, around here, you guys, that is like t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
it's like a good summer day.
No, seriously. And so yeah, it's been really nice. And it has been like kind of refreshing, because I feel like usually this time of year, we're like in the weeds of like seasonal depression.
Yeah.
So that was a nice reprieve.
Yeah.
Not to say that it won't be dark and gray for.
Yeah. I know. I feel like we're really coming up on like the rainy season, you know, of like entering late winter, early spring. But yeah, it was a nice treat. It's nice to like capitalize on those days and like actually be intentional about getting outside, getting, you know, what limited vitamin D we can from the sun this time of year.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just like enjoying it. So
I love it. That. Me too.
Well, should we do a little I said what I said? Do you want to start this time?
I will start us off. Okay. Let me just pull up my list. So not everyone needs to heal. Some people need consequences. And this is controversial and a little bit mean, I feel like. I do believe that everybody okay. This is nuanced, because I do believe that a lot of deeply like traumatized people will inflict trauma and do need to heal and do need love, and like it comes from a lack of something. And also I do believe that like some actions do need consequences, because if there are no consequences, what are you learning? And so controversial maybe, but not all of you listen, some people need consequences. Well,
I feel like that's how you learn, like that,
right?
Like, and consequence, I think we usually think of it in a negative term, but like it's like just the result of
your actions.
Yeah. And so we all need to like experience consequences, big or small, because I think that helps kind of guide you into like, hey, that actually like isn't acceptable behavior. Like you need to do something about that.
No, this is like such an important part of understanding the role shame plays in a society. We need shame.
We need a shame-based society.
We need a shame-based society, you guys. Don't feel enough shame. No, I'm kidding. But we do actually need shame, because if we didn't have shame, like, people would still like shit in the street. And I know that's like a dramatic example, but it's like these things have brought us to like our understanding of like how to operate in society. And so like certain things like are shameful actions. Um and we need some of these like guardrails. Yeah.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, and that's like all of our emotions are there for a reason, right? Like they're
absolutely.
communicating something to
They
you.
serve a
Yeah.
purpose. And I do believe that like to feel shame in a moment that's not it's not warranted, or when we have misplaced shame,
Yeah.
that doesn't serve. But
Yeah.
some people should feel more shame. Some
I said what I
I
said.
said what I said. Some of you don't feel enough shame. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not. I'll let you guys decide where I'm joking and where I'm not today. But yeah, so that's my I said what I said. I don't know.
I love it.
Should I elaborate more? I don't think I need to.
I think we understand what you mean. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I love it. I was just thinking as you were saying that, how we're both kind of people who like try and think in like the gray area and the nuance and all of that. And so the I said what I said concept is almost kind of hard to be like, nope, I'm gonna like stick with this really controversial, black and white statement. And then I feel like both of us generally are like, well, there's kind of like some nuance.
No, literally the mental gymnastics.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
Okay, mine is a little lighter than last week. I feel like in the day of technology and social media and all of that, we're choosing virality over credibility. Like we've traded credibility for virality. And I have such a problem with that. And again, there is like nuance because some things go viral and the person's actually credible or what they're saying like has a lot of good merit to it. And they like, they dive into the nuance and like they're giving you all the information. But for the most part, like the things that go viral because they're really clickbaity or, the person looks a certain way or the content that they're putting out is like very black or white, very controversial. You're not getting the whole picture. It's very divisive. And so it's really easily shareable and savable and all of that. And so it's just interesting to kind of think about that trade-off that we've made in the age of social media.
I love it and I support it and I amplify what you said because yeah, like that's what it is. I feel like we could get on social media right now and open an app and find a great example of this within the first 5 scrolls because it's like such a part of the culture.
Yeah.
And like I'm going to risk it all in saying this. But there are so many people who are not qualified to be speaking on certain issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of go back and forth with this because it's like I totally understand like experimenting with thought and like sharing and like sharing
Absolutely.
right
Yeah.
and experimenting like with the sounding board of the internet, right? And like getting feedback or input or like having that like space to do that. And I don't know how productive it is anymore in the current in our current situation because like if you say anything that's like strong and affirming into like a belief you have, first of all, you can guarantee there's going to be like 1,000 people waiting to just tear you down and tell you how stupid you are or like just be really mean and ugly like in the comments section. And then also there's the opposite side of that where like there's going to be people who see that and it like further solidifies their like dogma.
It just creates more divisiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, and I've also seen like people this brings me to a thought I'm having about I don't even remember I can't remember right now who they were commenting on, but somebody like some person on the internet who is a therapist, et cetera, and like maybe is now a life coach was dissecting a celebrity and explaining that she has like all these personality disorders based on like what she sees of the celebrity online and like talking about her personal life and all of these things and like really like creating this narrative about her that she's like this evil, awful person. And
What?
No, and everybody, like, it was really interesting to see how the internet was engaging with this because, like, a bunch of people were like, yeah, she's the worst. You're right. And a bunch of people were also like, dude, we don't actually know her.
We don't know her. This is super unethical to be like slapping diagnoses on someone that you've
You
never
don't know.
met,
You've
you've
never
never
talked to.
treated.
Absolutely, right? Like, it's problematic, right? And
Wow.
so it was real. And this happened like a few weeks ago.
But you do it for clicks because if you're talking about something relevant, I saw someone
Mhm.
totally different. They were doing it in like a very like up and up way. They were just kind of dissecting the Bachelor, the Golden Bachelor, is that what it's called? They were talking about something that had happened, I think, and just some of the behaviors underlying some of the dynamics. And I was like, oh, that was smart because it's so relevant at that time. But to go in and like try and diagnose and like pick apart someone, that's crazy.
No, totally. And I think in the example of like a show like that, right, where you're seeing how they engage or like certain behaviors play out on screen, I'm pretty sure this was like a pop star. And it's like, what?
Oh my gosh.
She's just singing songs and dancing around in tiny clothes.
Leave her I need more details after
I know. And honestly, I wish I could remember who it was. We could find it. But
yeah, it's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate.
It's a way it's like clickbaity and
it's harmful.
It's harmful. That's exactly it. Like you're not weighing out like the actual risk and like lack of professionalism or lack of ethics or like.
And you're using it to pose as an authority.
Yes.
But like you actually have no business being an authority in this situation when we literally, like, my favorite thing about having like lived in LA and having been, kind of in that environment, obviously not even close to like in the environment, but around, you see people all the time. And people are shocked to know how different people are in real life versus like what you get of the persona that they're like displaying. Sure, yeah. And I think that that's like a whole other issue with celebrity culture is like we celebrate the idea of like what someone has decided to sell as who they are when that's not even like who they are.
It's
probably
their brand.
It's their brand. It's their absolutely.
Or how they're being portrayed by media or people on social media. Like you mentioned authority, and that was something that I was thinking of too, is how like you mentioned, it's okay to like be someone who wants to kind of explore different thoughts and to get feedback from the people of the internet and all of that. And that's its own like category almost. But when you make some statement and say it with like such authority, like this is fact and I'm an authority on this topic, it becomes problematic because you're actually not.
No, totally.
Unless you are, right? Unless you truly are. But most times you're not, and you're saying it with authority because that's, again, how you get people to engage, because they're like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They seem really credible, when really you're just like kind of making shit up and you're saying it confidently.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I love this. This is a great one because this is so relative to like culture. Everything going on.
Yeah. I feel like it might kind of tie into some of what we'll talk about today too. Maybe
absolutely.
Tangentially, but yeah.
No,
anyway,
totally.
That's my little I said what I said for today.
I love it. We had good ones today. Yeah. What? I feel like we've been really hitting on these this year.
I've been really trying to think as I just like move about life, what things come to mind. Sometimes it's hard.
No, sometimes it is hard. I have moments where like something will come in so clearly and I'm like, oh, that's when I said what I said. And if
you gotta like write it down.
No, I have a notes folder in my phone. Smart. And if I remember, I write it down because I'm like, I'm not forgetting this. I'm not like, I need to remember this. Yeah. But then there are times where it's like, you have to kind of sit down and be a little bit more intentional. But no, I think that that's a great one. And I do think it will tie into what we're talking about today in so many ways because like we're going to kind of explore some of these thoughts. So.
Yeah.
On that note.
On that note, we're talking about blocks today, like this concept of having like, a mental block or some sort of a block within you of like, ooh, I don't know if I want to really pursue this thing or to say yes to this thing or to invest in this opportunity. So you have this opportunity essentially in front of you, whatever it is, and you have something within you that's like hesitant. And I think we wanted to kind of start out by talking about the difference or how to differentiate between a block and just being kind of like indecisive, because those are two different things, although they might look pretty similar if you're not super familiar with that. And so, like, being indecisive is kind of like, oh, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to kind of explore all the possibilities. I'm trying to weigh out my options, maybe look at the pros and cons of something, or just like having such a big question mark over the whole thing, but you don't really have a sense of like a hard no inside of you that you're trying to like question and push
justify.
Yes. Yeah. Versus a block. That's where it's like, I do kind of feel like a hard no inside of me, but like, I don't know where that's coming from or why it's there, what the hesitation is about. So they're pretty two like distinct
experiences.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. Think that's the key, right? Is like, is there something like that feels like a hard no, or that feels like maybe uncomfortable, or like maybe there's like fear, or like just this like gut feeling almost of like, I don't know, versus, you know, like you said, like the big question mark, or if you are like someone who gets really confused, right? Or really struggles to make hard decisions, or like be certain of something, you know, that is where indecisiveness can kind of, or confusion can kind of come in, where it's like maybe it's like actually a hard yes, but you don't trust yourself enough to like make that decision, right? And that's where it can be confusion of like, I don't know, like, but what if I'm wrong, or what, you know, all these things can kind of come up, and that is more of the indecisiveness or the indecision, the confusion, versus the block, where it's like, you know, trying to, really the best way I can put it is like trying to justify like why you actually should do the thing when you don't want to.
It's almost like your intuition is what's speaking, and you maybe don't know that it's your intuition speaking. And I think we did a whole episode on intuition, if I remember correctly. But yeah, trying to differentiate between these things of like, is it just me being kind of indecisive and not really certain about this thing yet? Or is my intuition telling me not to pursue this, or not to do this thing, or not to whatever it is, right? And so that can be really hard, I think, to determine if you're someone who, you know, doesn't really understand like what your intuition is, what it feels like to listen to your intuition. Maybe you thought you were like trusting your gut and like going with the best decision that you thought at the time, and you were burned by that. And so now you kind of question things. So I think it can get a little muddy. Depend just like as you build life experience, or maybe it gets more clear as you build life experience. I guess it can go either way.
Totally.
So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. And we one of the things we wanted to talk about is blocks versus something not being for you.
Yeah.
And this is something back in the day in 2025 when I was on social media a month ago. I feel like this is a pretty common topic on social media, and like maybe more of like the coaching sphere of like having to work through blocks, whether they be financial blocks, or committing to something, or going all in on your business, or whatever it is. But the concept of blocks is talked about a lot, and there's never really conversation about like, but what if this isn't for you? Like how to decide, like, is this actually a block that I need to work through, as they will say on social media? Like if it's a block, you need to work through it. You need to figure out how to like, you know, push your way through it, overcome it, and do the thing.
Right.
Or is this something that's actually just like not for me?
No, exactly. Yeah. You know, when you were saying that, I was thinking when you said like, this is about social media, right? And like in the coaching sphere, I feel like the reason it's approached that way, that like you need to work through this, is because people are selling results. And in that case specifically, and like when you're talking about like, you know, is this a block, or maybe if someone like is feeling like this actually isn't for me, the reason it's posed is like, well, that's a block, is because then like that's a conversion for them, right? And like and so I feel like that's why like we see that approach that way, because it's like, oh, well, like you feel hesitation of like doing this thing, let me coach you on that. And sell you on this point, right? And like I think we're going to dive into that a little bit more as we like move through this episode, or like we'll maybe kind of might be an unintentional theme, but it's
Mhm.
because it's so relative to the situation of like, is it a block or, you know, like an example I'm thinking of is like when we see people on social media be like, I have the solution for you. I have the solution for your problem.
Mhm.
And maybe like what's on your plate right now in life, that feels like something you can't commit to. And you know, like,
Yeah.
look, I don't have the capacity for this right now.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this, by the way, like, because unfortunately, like, this is what we're taught to do when we're coaches and how to, like, a lot of the time, this is how we're taught to sell and to convert clients and like to really enter this industry.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe the person we're talking to is like I really know that like financially where I'm at or like what's on my plate right now, like I won't be able to like show up with intention.
Mhm.
And the way we approach this is like, well, is that true? Or is your brain just making excuses because you are uncomfortable with doing like, you know, X, Y, and Z, like insert like reason here.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting. I love that we're having this conversation because I feel like we can share insight from like both sides of it in the sense
Mhm.
that like it's hard to avoid this when you're trying to sell coaching in a way
Mhm.
because like you do have to come up against people's like objections
Mhm.
and we do have to like have the conversation about, you know, well, what's stopping you from committing. And also there's like the other side of it is like maybe what's stopping them from committing is like it's actually not for them,
Mhm.
you know, and being cool with that as a coach or someone selling something or you know, as a person learning how to tune into that for yourself, like, well, actually, like, I don't know if, because here's the reality is if something is not for you, you're not going to get results out of it anyway.
No, because you were never invested in it,
No.
like emotionally or whatever it is. Um, yeah, it's a very salesy thing, right? And if coaching isn't really hitting home with any of our listeners, you can think of like any salesy example that you've like experienced, like buying a car or like whatever the thing is where this person is trying to sell you a service or a product
Mm-hmm.
and they're having to like convince you and you're like, but I'm really not sure. Like for some reason, this just doesn't feel right. And they keep coming at you with all the ways to like overcome that thing. If you're sharing like but I don't have the money right now, or
Yeah.
like this actually literally doesn't fit in within like the time that I have in my day-to-day life right now. Well, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, like all the different, comebacks that people have for you. It's very salesy, and yeah, it is, I think, taught, and you could probably speak to this way more than I could, but like in coaching spheres and going through like a schooling program of like, this is how you convert people, this is how you sell yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That is that has been one of the like edges I have been up against in this industry, like kind of the whole time because, and I'm excited to hear like your thoughts on this, but it feels counterintuitive to be trying to provide a service to help someone heal and then like encouraging them to put themselves in a situation where like either they can't afford it or like it's not affordable. It's like not accessible because I've seen a lot of coaches like have higher ticket offers and I don't mean like not valuing your service and your work. I believe everyone's time is valuable and
Yeah.
like, hey, I pay an absurd amount of money for therapy at this point in my life, but I really, really love who I work with. And so I'm willing to like make that sacrifice. And so I do think this is nuanced. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to be sustainable long term because I literally can't afford it. But I think that there's a big difference between that and being like, hey, like my service is valuable and I can offer you this, and being like, yeah, working with me for 3 months is going to cost you 10 grand. And there are coaches doing that. And there's a group that, you know, I mean, I'm still part of the group online. I don't really like read anything, but when I first was entering the coaching world, like back in, it must've been 2021. And I was like trying to like figure out how to like sell this and do this, right? Like, I'm like, oh, let me go get advice from all these women who have done it.
Sure.
And it was so interesting to like confront that, discomfort, I guess, of like how
your block, you mean?
Yeah, my block, literally my block, right? This is so appropriate. Because it was approached as a block, right? Because it's like doesn't feel actually like ethical to me to be like, I want to help you heal, get better, understand like life. And like, I have an objection to every objection you have. I have a way to like really not actually honor and validate whatever you're telling me. I have a way to like confront it. And the whole premise of this work is like to convert.
Yeah.
And for like, I mean, I can't even, there are coaches out here who are charging a lot of money for like, I don't even understand. And one time I heard a coach, like this was crazy to me. And we've kind of talked about this off camera before, but I heard a coach one time say to a potential client, when she was discussing like, I can't afford this. Like, I really want to invest in you, but like, seriously, I don't have that money. And the coach said, well, can you get a small business? Can you get a small loan? Can you take out money out of your, like, do you have an IRA? Are there stocks you're invested in you can pull from to invest in this? Like, do you have a credit card you could put it on? Encouraging someone to get into debt in order to receive a service from you, promising them a result that ultimately at the end of the day, we cannot promise people results as coaches. That's unethical. I really believe that that's unethical. I can't guarantee you anything. I can hold your hand. I can show you, I can ask you questions. I can show you insights. I can walk this path with you. I can, you know, hold space, help you understand. I can philosophize with you. I can share so much. I cannot give you a result.
No, you can't control that outcome.
No.
You can't like play God in this whole situation.
Literally not at all. And that's the like problem I see in it, right? Is like approaching some of this stuff as like, well, you just have a block.
Yeah, you mentioned like completely not honoring your client or your potential client's needs and or desires or their thoughts or their hesitancy around this. And that's exactly what I was thinking too of like, this is the big like ethical issue here is instead of just honoring someone who's saying like, hey, I'm actually like a single mom right now and I'm just trying to like make it and I actually don't have money for this service and saying like I can completely honor that and I actually have some resources for you that, you know, maybe fit your budget or I have this coach friend who, you know, could maybe work something out with you, whatever, offering alternatives and like actually honoring and holding space for that. Instead, it's met with like the complete opposite of like challenging everything and having like a way out for everything, like those examples of, well, can't you just take out a credit card or pull money from your investment accounts? Like that's crazy to me. And I actually don't even understand how someone could do that and feel good about what they're doing. Other than I think just again, the mental gymnastics around like being told, you know, that it's empowering to someone to help, you know, to help them figure out how they can financially invest in your services so that they can like use this as a springboard to then, you know, get their life on track or whatever the transformation is that you're trying to promise them. And so I think there's a lot of it's a lot of like manipulation through the whole process and it's really unfortunate. And then even in the coaching space like you just shared of like you're seeing this as like the model or the template of like this is how you sell, you help people work through blocks, which is literally how it's like phrased a lot of the time. And then you yourself having this experience, and I've had this experience too of like, yeah, but that actually like doesn't feel good to me. I don't feel right charging this amount. I don't feel right holding my like initial consult call in this structure or this framework. Like none of this feels like me.
Right.
And so, and if you express that, then again, it's a block that you have to work through instead of maybe this is your intuition telling you like this isn't for you.
Right.
At least not this specific path.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Exactly. It's like, I feel like I did it. I have expressed, you know, and I think you and I have like explored this together over like the last year and a half of working together of like, where's the balance like in this? And like, how do we find what feels authentic and good and honors our value? And like, also now we're also in an industry that like is unfortunately doing the like less authentic and ethical thing, it feels like. And it's one of those things where like, you know, everything gets capitalized, and I totally understand, and like it's unavoidable to a degree, but also like we have to have people who are willing to like be like, no, I don't think this is a block. I think that this is actually like something I'm not willing to like I don't feel comfortable with. You know what I mean? And this is kind of I think a big part of this conversation, because you know, for our listeners, maybe you've been in a situation where I don't even care if it's like exactly like you said earlier, it doesn't have to be about coaching or like even a purchase necessarily. It can be about like the pressure to, you know, take on the project or coach the team or, you know, join the board, like insert obligation here or like thing that you're wanting, that someone or you're being presented with opportunity, like you said, here. And that, you know, how that has come up in you, and like what, you know, is it really something like, I don't want to do this, or this doesn't, something about this doesn't feel quite right. And trusting that versus like, I think one of the things on our list to talk about is like versus like, you know, there are blocks of like vulnerability blocks, emotional blocks, and like how that's different and how we can explore and dissect that as being something different and how to identify those.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like when these show up in relationships, and having an opportunity to possibly be vulnerable or to possibly, you know, emotionally connect with someone in a deeper way than maybe what you're used to. And you're having that block show up of like, ooh, but I'm super hesitant. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to say the thing or be vulnerable in this way. To get curious about why that might be. And if this is like a hard no for you, why that might be. Like, is this person safe for you? Do they have a history of, you know, weaponizing the thing that you're saying? Like, what's the block around? Or is this because you're just kind of nervous about it? It's something new and unfamiliar for you, and this would actually be a really good opportunity for you to practice and exercise that muscle of vulnerability. So it's kind of getting curious, I think, and weighing out the options around like, why is this happening and what can I do about it?
Absolutely.
Which is very different than like, this is a hard no for me, because this is an actual math problem. Like I don't have the money, or I literally don't have the time.
Right, exactly. Like something that like was coming up when you were saying that too is you know, hard conversations at work are a great example. Like, is it a discomfort of like, I'm unwilling to go there? Or is it like, oh, this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation and I need to have this conversation, or I need to like set this boundary, or I need to, I mean, this can happen in any relationship, right? So, recognizing like, is it like a hard no, or is it like, this is something I actually can push through and I can work through, or I can be brave. I'm willing to like sit in that discomfort for a minute and go there. And that is actually more of a block, right? Like, that's an emotional block versus like that gut feeling that's like, no. And, you know, I would almost, I don't know if I believe this fully, but I'm going to say it. I would argue that like, if it's not like a 80% yes, like, oh yeah. And like, you know, cause sometimes I think when we have like a yes, like a full body yes, sometimes depending on our like tendencies or the type of person we are, we can have that like thing come online that's like, but what about this? Is it like, you know, kind of start to like weigh out logistics? So that's why I say 80% yes. But if it's not like an 80% yes, it's a no. Like if it's like 50-50, like, I don't know, that's a no. You know?
Or like, hey, can I actually think about this for a little bit? Like I need some time. Like there's no problem with being able to say that. Like, I actually don't have an answer for you right now. I need to give this some more thought.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that that is such an important skill to gain in life, because I think so often we feel like we have to answer people right away, or like provide, we have to like give somebody something in the moment that it's being asked of us. But creating space between like between the moment and then like the accepting or the conversation where we're like giving a definitive answer. Create that space, like be like, I need to think about that for a second. Can I get back to you?
And it's almost more honoring for the other person too, like, because I want this to be true. Like, I want my yes or no to be true and like real and heartfelt, not just like an impulsive, I feel like you need an answer right now.
Absolutely. Situation. Or, that people pleasing, because I don't want someone, like whether that's in a work project or whatever, don't say yes to me just because you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
Say yes to me because you want to be a part of this project, or and vice versa. Like, I don't want to say yes because I feel like pressured to say yes. I want to say yes because it's authentic and I feel like I have something to give to this thing.
Yeah. I feel like too, you can usually feel that from the other person. And so like if someone is saying yes to participating in a project that they really like didn't want to participate in, or yes to a coaching service that they like didn't have the money or time for, you can feel that because you're not as engaged. You don't feel as enthusiastic about it. Like you're not fully in because you were never fully in. It wasn't for you. Absolutely. So forcing someone to work through a block isn't going to actually like bring you the amazing outcome that you're looking or hoping for,
Absolutely. And I love that you said that because you will feel it as you continue to work. Like it will show up in the session and they will not like, if it's in the case of coaching, like I feel like I've experienced this where the client is not in it and then in turn what happens, I feel like, is the coach is not in it because it's like, it's like
neither person is super invested.
Yeah. You don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not, like, I know that you don't really have the space for this or the time for this. So it almost feels like peer pressure, or like it's
maybe even almost an element of guilt. I would hope or imagine of like, oh, I kind of like coerced you into doing this.
Right. Right. Or like, am I even qualified to like really, like I said, at the beginning of this, like, I can't guarantee you a result. So then like kind of feeling like, oh shit, like I promised this thing that actually like I cannot guarantee.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a big thing to like look at and to confront. I think we could probably do like a whole episode on like issues that should be confronted in the coaching industry, because that is very real. But it's like it bleeds into like these other things, because then in turn what happens is then someone like goes out into the world feeling like they didn't get what you promised them. And we don't want that. Like,
no one's like really satisfied with any of it, like the whole outcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of inspired this topic was a blog post or like maybe a video that I watched from Pinterest. Pinterest is like the OG like social media, and I love it forever. I think like it's
I love Pinterest.
calm and quiet over there. But I found this woman who Burke has been so good this episode.
I know.
And as we're about to wrap it up, he's
sit down.
So she was talking about how when she initially started her coaching business and like she did consulting and just different things in her own business, she felt a lot of pressure to have a social media presence, and it never felt right to her. And it was always like sold as, well, you have this block that you need to work through. You need to show up daily on social media and, put out a certain type of content. And there's like a competitive nature on social media, and all your metrics are available for everyone to see in a lot of ways, and your following count and all the things, right? It can feel really yucky. And so it was sold as like, but this is the only way your business can be successful.
Yeah.
And so she tried to like push through it and push through it and push through it. And then at some point it was like, what if I just listen to my actual intuition? This isn't a block. This is my intuition speaking that this is not for me. And there is another way to do my business. I can run my business on Pinterest that, is this place that doesn't feel competitive at all. I can do blog posts and work SEO and just all the different ways of running a business that's not on social media. And how much peace that comes with that when you recognize this isn't for me. this isn't a block I need to work through. This is just my intuition speaking. And I'm going to actually follow and listen to my intuition and honor that. And like the exhale that you experience when you do that. And so I think that's just an important, I think that story that was helpful for me to just hear that from someone else. But I think that story sometimes can be helpful for others to hear in terms of like when you actually can get clear on if it's your intuition and then listening and like answering that call, just the peace that you feel inside.
Yes. The surrendering to like, because I think authenticity pays off every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't mean like, obviously like there's other factors, but I think it pays off emotionally. And then when something is aligned and like for you, it's gonna feel so much better. And that is like a great example of this thing where authenticity is always going to like, what is true for me?
Yeah.
Because when we're like resisting and we're swimming upstream, when it's like, no, like I'm really being like invited to like follow, to go with the flow of this and to like trust this thing.
Yeah.
I think that that is kind of what we're talking about here when it comes to like, is it a block or is it just not for me? Right? Like, if it's truly on your heart and you really feel that thing of like, no, I want, you know what would it be like to surrender to this and just follow this thing and to see the result of that? And I think that that's like testimony to that and to this thing we're talking about of like, exactly, like, you know, you might feel the pressure to like do this thing this one way or to say yes or to sign up for the thing because it's like, also it can get into that thing of like, because I feel like I have to do this because this is like the map I've been given, or if I don't do this, then like I'm not actively trying to heal or do better or whatever, like insert thing here. But what would it be like to just like, you know, recently I feel like this, I just had a situation come up with a friend like this where there's been like a lot of like pressure for that they've been feeling to like do certain things, like go to the gym or to like to feel like they have to like be doing X, Y, and Z to like maintain their physical appearance, maintain their health, etc. And I talked to them like last week and they were like, I canceled my gym membership because all that's happening when I'm not able to get there right now because I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I just am not in that season of life is major shame.
Yep.
And that's not contributing to anything healthy either. So she was like, I canceled my gym membership for a while. We'll see when it's time to come back to it. Or I'm going to just focus on this thing right now and moving my body in an intentional way with like walking or whatever.
Yeah. Something that actually fits into your life.
Yeah. And feels like it's not an energy drain, but it's an energy gain.
Yeah.
And she like already, you can just like see the like weight lifted off of like the, like, oh, I have to go to the gym is gone. And like, oh, I have to be doing this because if I don't, then it means X, Y, and Z. And then when I don't get there, now I get to like berate myself because it's like, oh, another day that I was too busy and this was happening. And then it's just like this hamster wheel of exhaustion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can apply that like idea to anything to where when we just like accept or we listen to our intuition, our gut telling us like, no, we need it. Like, let's try this other thing and see what happens.
Yeah.
How that actually contributes to our well-being.
Yeah.
And to our growth or to our, you know, to the betterment of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that you framed it as like an invitation to kind of figure out, well, what is for me? Like maybe this thing isn't for me, the gym membership, the coaching program, the service, the product, whatever it is. But maybe I still have a desire to, there's like a need or desire that is still unmet. How else can I meet that in a way that's actually going to feel like supportive or attainable or realistic for the life that I'm living right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I also just want to like celebrate a coach who's willing to, first of all, like I too love, like Pinterest is a great space, even for just like going and looking at beautiful things. Like, I don't know, there's something really lovely about like, and everyone's Pinterest feed is going to be curated to like them.
Yeah.
And when I open my Pinterest, I'm like, oh my God, you guys know me. And
I know, you feel so seen.
You do. And it's like, sometimes it's just nice to see like the aesthetic of something that like feels more authentic. And you can almost, in a way, it's like almost more geared toward you than Social media is geared toward you, and like it knows what pisses you off.
Yeah.
It knows what your insecurities are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost like
it's so different. Like the type of content is so different, worlds apart.
No, literally, like, but then you open your Pinterest and you're like, yeah, I want a garden that looks like that, or I want to have a tea party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think it's just like a really cool thing to be able to like be in this world where it's like I want to help people. I want to like share this information. I want to do what I do as a coach or a healer or what, like a guide of sorts, or just share this information. And I don't want to be in this certain space with it. I want to take a break, or I don't want to be a part of that environment because it doesn't feel healthy for me.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool. And I feel like it's relative because I can't speak for both of us, but like for me personally, that's been a huge edge for me, like a huge, hey, it's been a block. Because I feel like, I'm like, I don't want to be on here. I don't want to do this. And then to feel the pressure of like, but this is like how you do it. This is the industry.
Yeah.
This is the standard.
Yeah. No, it is. It's been interesting for me too, to go through that and, you know, being on social media and figuring out like, okay, well, how frequently should I post? What kind of content should I post? What does well, what doesn't do well? And how to structure that, and kind of playing around with like what feels good and what doesn't feel good for me versus what I'm being told I should do, and what, you know, builds a successful business. And then this last month has been really good for me to take a step back from social media to just kind of reflect on like, how can I show up differently in the future in a way that feels even more aligned. And also it's been fun to like play around with posting on Pinterest again, and, you know, also realizing like I still get website traffic from Pinterest. Like I don't need social media. It is decreased, but you know, it's still there's still people seeing my work. And so yeah, it's been a journey, and even a journey through like pricing different things and the offers that I have, and just kind of exploring what feels best for me, and really feeling like settled on what I've landed on currently, which is like the group membership, community membership program that I have that's like $10 a month. Like that's so, I think people would look at that and be like, well, you're undervaluing yourself. And I don't see it that way. I see it as I'm creating a really accessible space for women to actually come together and heal, you know, in whatever way that looks like for them. And so being able to like shift the narrative around, instead of like the reframe of I'm undervaluing myself, to I'm making this accessible and also doing it in a way that feels aligned for me and my value system, because I'm not out here trying to get rich, charging thousands and thousands for, you know, a few sessions.
No, totally. And that I feel like encompasses like the whole theme of this, of like that would have been approached as a block.
Yes.
Well, you have a block because you don't know your value and you need to thought work your way into charging thousands and thousands for a few sessions to try to make XY figures a year.
And then it just feels yucky.
It does. It feels yucky.
Yeah.
And then what happened when you were like, actually, I'm totally okay with this number and I'm totally okay with doing this thing, because you were able to like really separate and the noise and your intuition. And I think that that's like really like what encompasses the conversation here of like, you know, being able to, for our listeners, being able to understand inside of yourself, like how to really explore, I guess, with curiosity, what is true for me and what is noise. And, you know, I think a good way to start to explore that for yourself is ask yourself yes or no questions about the situation. Like that's a great tool I learned a few years ago. And it's like, you can start with something little, like, is it Tuesday? Yes. So that you can start to just like identify with what is true, like factually true. And then start to ask questions like, do I have a desire to work on this thing? Yes. Is this program for me? Like, you know, you can start to like, and I would ask like, you know, 5 or 6 questions, like the first 3 being kind of like, you know, lower stake questions, and then start to increase like do I want to get help with this? And then decide, is this a yes or no? Or do I want to commit to this opportunity? And then what happens is, especially if you do or responses, your sacral response actually comes online. And that's actually where our intuition like kind of lives, is in our sacral chakra. And so, yeah, not to get like,
no, I love that.
It's true though. Yeah. It's like, and bring that online, because then what happens is we can kind of don't really answer from up here, answer from down here. And, not to say that that's the decision you have to make, but then at least you have the awareness of like,
yeah, and you gain clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah. Anything else? I feel like this is a good place.
No, I feel like that's lovely. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we will see you next week.